Here's the deal. My friends at Brazen have spent the last year writing the book on recruiting chatbots. It's jam-packed with tons of the best practices and examples of companies who are successfully using chatbots to hire the best talent. We're talking companies like Walgreens, USAA, and Presidio. And because you're a listener of my show, they want to send you a free copy of the book. Just head over to brazen.com/chatbots to get a free copy today. You can get a copy sent to your door for postage, or you can download the digital version right now. Don't wait, because the book is flying off the shelves. And as a bonus, if you sign up today, they'll send you their #1 downloaded ebook on winning the war for talent. Again, go to brazen.com/chatbots to get all this for free today. Before we get started, I wanted to introduce Kevin Grossman, who's the president of the Talent Board. He has some information he'd like to share with you.
Thanks, Lauren. Appreciate being here.
And this October, you guys have a big event.
We do. So on October 14th in Washington, D.C. at the Marriott Wardman Park Hotel, we are running our Candy Symposium and Awards Gala. Every year we do research with hundreds of companies around the world and capture hundreds of thousands of candidate responses to our survey research about their candidate experience from pre-application to onboarding. And then those companies who have the highest positive candidate ratings, we celebrate them throughout the day, and into the evening, we have great speakers and sessions, and then awards dinner that evening. So that's what's happening on October 14th.
What time does it start?
It starts at 9 a.m. and goes until 10 p.m.
So it's this October 14th at the Wardman Hotel. The report that you guys generate afterwards, how can folks get that?
So they can go to our site at thetalentboard.org, and everything's available free to download.
And how can I register to come to the event on the 14th?
You go to thetalentboard.org is probably the easiest way. And if you use the code CE19VIP, you can get $50 off our registration for a total of $395 to come for the day.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of the Lauren Epstein Show. I'm your host, Lauren Epstein. We are here at the Social Recruiting Strategies Conference in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, on a warm August day here in downtown. It's actually, the sun is starting to shine a little bit more. And we are learning all about how to do social recruiting, how to use these technologies, storytelling, video, analytics. And with me today, I've got a very special guest who probably came further than anybody else to attend this event. Although actually there is someone from Australia, but I would say second furthest. But with me today is David Rivel. David is the co-founder of PathMotion. PathMotion is a discussion platform where employees share their career stories that answer candidates' questions. So if folks are looking to apply to your company and they want to know what's it like to work there, this is a way for them to get those authentic stories. The platform nurtures authentic content and allows it to be shared across multiple recruitment channels. PathMotion clients includes brands like Citibank, Deloitte, and McDonald's, as well as other firms worldwide. David, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So you live in Paris?
I do live in Paris, although I'm a lot on the train and in the plane, so I feel like I'm a world citizen.
Really? So because you got to the States like a couple weeks ago?
So I got to the States a few days ago. I spent a week, a month in the States.
Gotcha.
Absolutely.
Wow. So you must have lots of stories traveling like that.
Absolutely.
So one of the things we were going to talk about is storytelling, but I think what we'll do is kind of start with the company PathMotion. So what had you create this company?
So actually, it's a personal experience. I actually graduated from London University, got a few jobs in banking, and was about to sign my contract when I met a guy who was working for GE, General Electric, which I didn't know much about and never considered as an employer. And for me, GE was like the fridge that my parents had at their place, so I would have never considered working for a fridge company. But when I met the guy, he told me all about the training opportunities, the leadership development programs there, the fact you would travel around the world, having an impact on different business units. And this is what eventually influenced me to apply and even join GE while I was potentially earning much more in the banks that I had offers with. And throughout my career, I've always advised young people to actually seek advice from people who are in the job. Actually, my co-founder, Alan, I had a very similar story. And one day we got together and we said, wouldn't it be amazing if, as a candidate, you would have access to people in the companies and in the jobs that you're interested in? And that's how we kind of created PathMotion. And very early on, Nassim Gandour joined us as well. So, we on to an exciting height, doing something very simple, in fact, but bringing efficiency and scale to it for lots of companies.
And when did you guys start the company?
So the product was launched in 2014. So we had a previous product which we pivoted away from, but eventually we launched the current product in 2014, grew organically for a couple of years until we were very lucky to get investments from the founders of Thomson Online Benefits, who sold to Mercer. And with their historical investors, they kind of joined the party. And that allowed us to scale quite significantly in the last few months.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's really fantastic. And so I know, as I like you, we've had jobs, and I've taken plenty of jobs, not knowing what I was getting myself into. And one of the things that I started to do was, if I was going to apply somewhere, I would look on LinkedIn for folks who had worked there, and I'd send them messages because I was like craving those stories. Why is it that we didn't have this baked into the system? Like, it was just like a complete blind spot about what's it like to work at some place.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe let's take a step back. I mean, if you look at at the market, obviously we all know it's a candidate-driven market. The war for talent is over, talent won, so they can choose where they want to go. And actually, if you look at candidates today, as much as they have like tons of questions in their consumer life about their restaurants, about their next holiday, it's even more so the case when you choose an employer. So they've got like very specific, granular questions that they want answers to, and those answers are usually not provided on the career side of our client's website. And this is really what we solve as a problem. So, you hate to say LinkedIn is one source of useful information where you potentially could try to seek advice and have your questions answered. But obviously, people are not there to do that and to answer your questions. But the real power behind what we do is not just about, letting candidates ask questions and letting employees answers to create that content, both text and video. It's all about the dissemination of that content afterwards. So the power behind what we do is really to say, okay, once you've created that content, we then ensure that it actually feeds all of the recruitment channels of our clients. The way we do that is that we use that content to nurture candidates. So we understand the behavior of candidates, what they're interested in, and then we actually target the content that's been created to make them come back. And that works extremely well. We also use the content to make sure it's well integrated into the website and into the jobs of our clients, so in their own environment. We use the content to feed a chatbot as well, so that whenever people have questions, the previous answers given by the employees are still available and appear in that chatbot. So very different than the other chatbots you'll find in the market, because it's authentic content coming from real employees and not robotic answers given by an FAQ type system. And finally, all of that content is optimized for SEO and social sharing. So as you create those exchanges and you create that content, the visibility of your brand will be raised, because once you've got like a good bank of authentic content, which is usually the long tail of content because there are very specific questions and very specific answers, we get around 45% of traffic coming straight from search engines as from year two for our clients.
Wow. So what the net benefit to a company that uses your service, is it that you'll have more of the right people apply, so you'll have fewer people apply? Is
Absolutely.
that? Yeah.
So
and the other thing I wanted to ask, just
yeah.
before we answer,
Yeah.
is because I notice I've worked at a lot of companies. Most companies are, not that much different in a lot of ways. Like companies are hard to work for. I mean, they're just, work life for a lot of people is difficult because companies have their dysfunction. So I guess both questions is, does it make it better for companies, and does that dysfunctional, or does like the downside of the job get communicated in the story as well?
So exactly, that's part of our advice, is to actually be open, honest, and speak actually about challenges that the company has. Because at the end of the day, when you think about employer branding, it's not just about attracting the right people, it's also about repelling the wrong people. And it's not a question of getting more applicants, but it's about getting more relevant applicants and convincing the right people that you are the employer of choice potentially for them. And so, to answer your question, I mean, the way we measure success is about, as you said, it's about the conversion of the relevant people. Yes, is how do we make sure that we convert people that are relevant for you by, making sure they understand who you are, what the culture is about, what the opportunities are, and maybe, break some preconceptions they might have about you as an employer, as much as it is about making sure that the wrong people don't apply and they realize, as early as possible in the process that you're not an employer where they will fit.
Right. It's interesting. So it's two parts of the story. It's letting the candidates know, like, here are the high points that you may not know about us, and here are the low points that you really do want to know before you join.
Exactly. And
if you're not, like,
breaking the
it's really
preconceptions, if I think about Citi, for instance, they have a huge emphasis on, on tech in banking, women in banking. They speak about the LGBTQ network, which, you might not think about Citi as being exactly that type of employer. And they are quite open, again, to your point about speaking of the challenges. Okay, we only have, X% down the road, but actually we are doing something about it. And we let our employees say it. And so you've got Joanna that is on the, whatever committee, women's committee, saying, okay, this is what we do, A, B, C. And she goes into details about explaining what that is about. So it makes it much more credible. And she's quite open, saying, actually, we're not perfect yet. But the company realizes that, and this is what to do about it. And if you're a woman, maybe you want to help me and help us get there. So the other kind of aspects we measure are the, the improvement in employer brand, because at the end of the day, it's an employer branding tool, right? So we measure that quite closely. We measure the candidate experience with an NPS score, and it's all about improving that candidate experience. And at the end of the day, what we try to measure as well is making sure that we make the job of the HR function more efficient and more scalable, not answering the same questions time and over again, reaching out to people they might not have reached out to or could have reached out to, because at the end of the day, you cannot travel across all of the country and go to all of the places to actually meet people. So that allows us to meet people online at any point in time. And it's all about creating that content at scale without having to have an army of people, specifically dedicated to it. You've got the real people in the job doing it naturally on top of their job. And actually they're much better placed to do it than if you would have a dedicated, comms or marketing team doing it for you.
What's been a success story that you feel keeps you motivated to keep doing this?
So actually, when I'm a bit down, what I do is I go to the platform of my clients and I read through the discussions and get excited by some of the stories I read from employees from different companies. So it varies a lot. I mean, there's a really good one for the National Health Service in the UK, where you've got like a single parent with a 2-year-old kid saying, actually, I don't know if I could join you guys. They have like a leadership program. I'm alone at home with my kids. Work-life balance is really important for me. I want to make sure that my personal life stays on track. And could I join you guys? And you've got like 5-6 women responding to that question. Some who are not a parent, but some who have kids, like young kids, and saying, okay, actually this is challenging, but this is how I manage it, this is how I do it, and I encourage you to apply and whatnot. And they go into like a long exchange, and it's a question that's been viewed more than 10,000 times. So those type of stories usually, gets me excited, and we get a lot of those on the different platforms of our clients.
Are employee responses curated or edited?
No. They are not, and this is the beauty of it, and this is what makes it so authentic. And actually, this is one of the big kind of aspects we need to educate our clients on, to say, actually, you might purposely you want to leave like the sometimes clunkiness, sometimes even the spelling and grammar mistakes, because this is what makes it real, and this is also what candidates value. So, candidates are going to value an authentic response with some mistakes that is imperfect much more than the nicely crafted corporate answer, which they'll find on any career website anyway, so they won't trust it anymore. They've got their fake radars on actually today. It's especially the millennials. It's the Tinder generation. You've got the nice picture of the good-looking guy, and then when you go on the date, you already know that he's not going to look like that. And it's the same,
Right.
on your corporate career website.
That's great. And do you feel that, I think it's safe to say that corporations, large corporations, don't have a stellar history as global citizens, that a lot of things that have occurred in our culture on the bad side have been at the hands of corporations. Do you feel like these stories now are changing the behavior of corporations in one way or the other? Like if they have to be honest about stuff, and people are asking those hard questions, and I'll pick on Citi because you mentioned them. They did a lot of things around 2008, 2000, like how they would do tranches for mortgages, things that people might find were unethical or not good for the economy, might keep them away from working there. Are they addressing those questions, and is that changing how they do business?
So, it would be a bit pretentious to say that, thanks to a platform, we're changing the behavior of companies. But what's for sure is that there's more and more scrutiny, from candidates and from citizens overall, in terms of making sure that, the companies they join or they buy from as consumers are responsible. And there's a huge pressure from them, which is good, and which actually make those organizations change their behaviors for sure. So we see that a lot in the questions also asked by candidates. There's a lot of questions on social responsibility, obviously on work-life balance, on ethics, on culture. And
what are some of the questions that stick out to you that you remember?
A lot of questions around the culture. And also questions around work-life balance. There's a lot of questions around diversity. And it's really fascinating to see those diversity questions, because what we see candidates willing to know is to get social proof. So you get questions like work with the police, for instance. You get a question from a Muslim lady saying, I would like to speak to a Muslim woman at the police and understand from her how she feels and how she's treated, and how she manages her work-life balance. So we're really in this area of I want social proof. I want to hear it from the people. I don't want to hear it from you as a corporate. I don't want to hear it from you as a recruiter. And we get lots of those questions where we see people are addressing very specific audiences that are similar to them. So I've been to the army. I'm trying to reconvert myself. Can someone who is an ex-army person, kind of, and who joined you as an employee, tell me about how that went and what they worked on, how they're progressing in the organization, and do you actually provide a support system for those type of people?
Have you find that some of the answers to, like, let's say an answer from one of your clients, does it get shared and quoted and maybe put in the news or somehow get some?
Yeah, that's the whole point of it, actually.
That is the point.
Yeah, the point is to make sure that when you've got a good answer, i.e. a good story, that it is actually, shared in as many touch points as possible where candidates are going to be exposed.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it.
What if an employee, they're not a great employee, maybe they're less engaged or actively disengaged, as some categories might put them, and they put answers out that are not flattering to the company?
So usually a company like that has more structural issues than that. Then they should address their structural issues first, probably, before using a platform like PathMotion and letting the employees kind of share the stories. And once they've walked through that, then obviously they could use a platform like us. I mean, we're just a reflection of what happens inside. Mm-hmm. We just allow stories to be unleashed. And if obviously those stories are negative, first of all, in all fairness, we are an employer branding tool. So at the end of the day, companies are going to select the employees that they want to put forward. So usually you won't have terrible stories because those people
So they
are
select
volunteering.
people that they actually
Yeah,
want.
and then it's on a volunteering basis. So people are going to volunteer. They're going to say, okay, I want to be a brand ambassador. I want to speak about what I do. And usually they're not going to be there to just,
Right. So it's not
speak
anyone.
negatively. Yeah.
Right. Cool. Yeah, because I mean, I've seen situations where people who were any employee kind of sharing. I don't know if you heard about the Cisco fatty tweet. So there was a woman who had just gotten a job, young woman who just gotten a job at Cisco, and this is a long time ago. And she tweeted out, "Hey, I just got this Cisco fatty offer, but I don't know if I really want to work with these people." And tweeted it out. Well, somebody from Cisco was watching it, and the manager replied saying something like, "Well, maybe we shouldn't have you working here," and her offer got rescinded. So she tweeted out that she got this really great offer, but she was kind of like lukewarm on the company, and they heard it and they just pulled the offer. So you have that story that's kind of uncurated, just kind of going out there. And, that story caught a lot of traction.
Yeah, I mean, it happens that employees are open and honest about the challenges, but we've never had kind of comments being taken down. Because again, the point is to be open and honest about the challenges that, are being faced in the company, and if you're not ready to face it as a candidate, you better know about it.
Right.
So there's an interesting question about working hours in one of our banking clients, and you've got like 10, 15 employees responding from different departments, and some are saying, it's pretty rough. I mean, I go home sometimes at 11, 12 at night, but you want that to be known because then you also attract the right people. And there's always a right candidate for a job. It's just making sure that you're as open and transparent as possible, so that you eventually attract the right people and you reduce your churn, over time as well by doing so.
Sure, and having good intentions, the intention of sharing honest stories that are authentic and fair to what's actually occurring.
Yeah, and storytelling is not new, right? I mean, if you look like Nike, Coke, Virgin, brands like that, they've been doing storytelling on the consumer side for decades, because we know that stories at the end of the day will create emotions. It will be better remembered. It actually makes you more attached to the person telling you the story. So it's not a new science. That's why so much money is poured at it on the consumer side. And in fact, what we're doing is applying this to TA, to talent acquisition. That's about it. And actually, we did a quite interesting study with a leading neuroscientist comparing the website of Citigroup compared to the platform where they had the stories of the employees. And we found out that the stories of the employees were driving 20% more immersion levels and causing twice less frustrations than the career website.
Wow.
So we know that scientifically, there's proof that it works.
That's
Beyond
great.
the usual ROI metrics that we track, we know that, as human beings, we're going to be more influenced by stories than, unfortunately, sometimes by facts. We see it in politics, we see it in charity. There's fascinating studies on that topic.
Right.
And this is why politicians are so good as well as at putting stories together, because they know that this is going to impact the voters more than if they just give facts about, their achievements.
Wow. Well, so how can folks reach out to you, David, if they want to?
So I'm available on Twitter at davriv. I'm available.
So that's DAVRIV, your Twitter handle.
Or David at PathMotion.com, on LinkedIn.
Cool.
Or you can just knock at my door and we can have a coffee with croissants.
Well, David, thank you so much for sharing, and I'm really glad that you had a chance to tell us about what you're up to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of The Lauren Epstein Show. I'm your host, Lauren Epstein, and thank you to David Rivel of PathMotion for being our guest today.
Thank you, Lon.
Hi, this is Lauren Epstein with The Lauren Epstein Show, and I'm sitting here with Cara Mignelli, who is the leader of the Social Recruiting Strategies Conference and the eBrand Cons, and they've got some exciting news. They're having Talent Acquisition Week in January of 2020. Can you tell us about that, Cara?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Lauren. We're really thrilled about 2020, which sounded really far off when I was a kid, but thrilled to be planning for 2020. And so our vision is to take a step into the future of talent acquisition. And we're really thrilled to be hosting our flagship event, SRSC, which is the Social Recruiting Strategies Conference, as well as eBrandCon, along with a new event, Talent Sourcing Strategies Summit. We'll be hosting those 3 separate events together at the same venue in San Francisco this coming January 28th through the 30th. And we're providing an opportunity for people to be collaborative and learn new things. If you buy a ticket to any of our 3 events, we're going to allow people to go from one event to another. So the agenda doesn't overlap, except for we have some great opening keynotes, and we have a shared expo floor, and we're planning fun networking events as well.
This is exciting. I could see companies sending their entire teams of recruiting folks to learn and then network. What a great opportunity. And how can folks register now?
They can visit talentacquisitionweek.com and sign up for more information. Registration will open and the full agenda will be published.
Fantastic. Well, we're really looking forward to it. Go to talentacquisitionweek.com and sign up now.
Thanks, Lauren.
If you want to sell more to HR and TA professionals, we can help you bring your brand into the ears of over 100,000 decision makers around the world. To advertise on this and other shows, contact us at lauren@laurenepstein.com.